Hello guys and welcome back to our channel Middle Stump Cricket. In this episode, let's have a look at all the cricket news roundups from all over the world for the day. Now before we proceed, if you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to us and press that bell icon for daily updates. Also, like this video. Let's have a target of at least 1000 likes for this episode. So now, let's proceed without any further delay. For the first news roundup of the day, we have the comments of wicketkeeper Wriddhiman Saha, and he has said that Rishabh Pant should be India's first choice wicketkeeper in their upcoming test matches in England, including the World Test Championship final against New Zealand. Saha was India's first choice wicketkeeper since 2014 after MS Dhoni retired from Test cricket until the emergence of Rishabh Pant. Both players have been included in the squad that will travel to England for the WTC final and the subsequent 5-match test series. Moving on to the second news roundup, we have the comments of Yuzvendra Chahal, and he has said that the reason for him and Kuldeep Yadav not featuring together in the Indian team in the last 2 years is because all-rounder Hardik Pandya has been unable to bowl. Moving on to the next roundup, we have some good news as fast bowler M. Prasidh Krishna, who is part of India's extended squad for test matches in England, has recovered from COVID-19 and he will depart for Mumbai from Bengaluru on the 23rd of May. For today's next news roundup, we have the comments of KKR spinner Varun Chakrabarti, and he says that he is still not fit for intense training after his recovery from COVID-19 as he is still feeling weakness and dizziness. Chakravarti was the first player in IPL to test COVID positive, and within a couple of days, the tournament was suspended because of multiple cases inside the biobubble across the franchises. The 29-year-old Chakravarti recovered on the 11th of May and is currently recuperating at his Chennai residence. Moving on to today's next news roundup, Sourav Ganguly is reportedly disappointed with the non-retention of W.V. Raman as India women's coach. It has been learned that Ganguly has formally expressed through letters reservation over the sacking of Raman, a former India batsman who was not considered for the position by the Cricket Advisory Committee, which picked Ramesh Pawar instead. Ganguly did not say anything on the selection of Pawar, but he did, however, express surprise on how a coach who had guided the team to the final of a global tournament had not been retained. For the next news roundup of the day, Monty Panesar has made a sweeping prediction of the India vs England series, suggesting that the visitors might take the series 5-0 if the tracks provided for the series turn. Up next, we have the BCCI chief executive floating two separate ideas for the second leg of the IPL 2021. Interim CEO Hemang Amin, also the chief operating officer of the IPL, is apparently ready with a full plan to host the remainder of the 14th edition of the IPL in UAE. Amin has two schedules for the rest of the matches to be hosted in the month of September and October in the year 2021 itself, and he has proposed UAE as the likeliest destination. For the next news roundup, Marcus Harris, the Australian left-handed batsman, was left awestruck with Cheteshwar Pujara's batting in the fourth test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy earlier this year in January. At Gabba in Brisbane, deemed as Australia's fortress, Pujara got scores of 25 and 56, but it is his resilience in the middle that garnered him praises from Harris, pundits and all the netizens. Harris has even said that Pujara on that day batted like an Australian. Up next, we have some really saddening news as Delhi-based coach Suresh Batra, who was assistant coach to Rajkumar Sharma when Virat Kohli initially began training at West Delhi Cricket Academy, has passed away on Thursday 20th May at the age of 53. According to Vijay Lokapalli, a senior journalist, Batra was doing fine before he suddenly collapsed on Thursday morning after his morning prayers. Moving on to today's next news roundup, Mohammad Yusuf has lavished praise on youngster Azam Khan for his eye-catching strokes and timing. While appreciating Khan's batting, the former right-handed elegant batsman also had a word of advice for him. Yusuf wants the young batsman to curb his aggressive style of play and wants him to learn from players such as Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson. Next up, we have the comments of Yuzvendra Chahal, and he said that he would have definitely pulled out of the IPL 2021 if the tournament was not suspended before. While Chahal was featuring in the IPL, his parents were suffering from COVID-19 back home. Next up, we have yet another comment by Chahal, and the Indian leg spinner is optimistic about making it to the Indian Test team sooner or later. Over the years, Chahal has seen a lot of young players grab their opportunities in the red ball format, but still there is not an opening for the 30-year-old who still harbors hope of donning the whites. And he said that obviously any player would want to wear the white jersey. Next up, we have the comments of a former Indian cricketer Yuzvendra Singh, who in a recent column revealed an on-field conversation with Geoffrey Boycott at the Oval. And he was reportedly told by Boycott that the Indians might play it for bread and butter, but the British played for fun and recreation. Singh narrated the times when the mighty BCCI was not the richest board and the players did not have a luxury of having secured central contracts like they do in the modern day. For the next news roundup, Bangladesh captain Tamim Iqbal urged his team to give the maximum as they bid to maintain their home dominance against Sri Lanka in the one-day series starting on Sunday. Bangladesh have totted up a strong record at home, winning all but one of the 12 matches since October 2018, though all of the victories were struggling Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka. However, they lost 3-0 to Sri Lanka at the same time they met in a one-day series in Colombo in 2019. For the following news roundup, Sri Lanka's leading cricketers led by Test captain Dimuk Karunaratne along with the host of senior players including Dinesh Chandimal and Angelo Matthews have refused to sign the central contracts offered by the board, which they believe is far less compared to other countries. If the dispute is not sorted out in due course of time, it could well affect Sri Lanka's bilateral series with India in July, where 6 white ball matches is expected to fill the coffers of a cash-strapped cricket board of the island nation. Moving on to the following news roundup, England and Ireland pacer Boyd Rankin, the only cricketer to have played for 2 countries in all 3 formats, has announced his retirement from international cricket. Rankin made his Ireland debut in 2003 and played last for the country in a T20 against Afghanistan in Greater Noida in 2020. For the next news roundup, we have confirmation that the Pakistan Cricket Board is planning to start the PSL 6 in Abu Dhabi from June 5th, and all the participating players will undergo a 10-day quarantine period before they start training. The owner of Karachi Kings, Salman Iqbal, said that the terms and conditions agreed between the PCB and the UAE authorities entail a mandatory 10-day quarantine period for players, officials and broadcasting crew members. In between, there will be regular COVID-19 tests during the quarantine period as well. Next up, we have the comments of senior New Zealand pacer Tim Southee, who believes that the upcoming 2-test series against England would serve as a great preparation for his team as it gears up for the marquee World Test Championship final against India. New Zealand are playing 2 tests against England at the Lords between June 2nd and June 6th and Birmingham between June 10th and 14th. The WTC final is scheduled from June 18th. Next up, we have the comments of India cricketer and women's team coach W.V. Raman, and he has said that playing more tests in a calendar year will help women cricketers become better in terms of match fitness and test them in every respect for tougher competitions. The Indian women cricketers will play a one-off test against England from June 16th, their first since 2014. They will also tour Australia later this year for a full series that includes a day-night test in September and October. Next up, we have the comments of Chennai Super Kings bowling coach Lakshmipati Balaji, and he has claimed that recovering from COVID-19 is like experiencing an episode of Man vs. Wild, and he still, till date, does not know how they contracted COVID-19 inside the bio bubble at Mumbai. For today's next news roundup, Middlesex signed New Zealand all-rounder Daryl Mitchell for the last 9 group matches of the T20 Blast after Paul Sterling was roped in for the first 5, with both players have been called upon as replacements for Mitchell Marsh, who was picked to play Australia's white ball tour of West Indies. For the following news roundup, Darren Stevens produced a spectacular 190 runs of only 149 balls and added a whopping 166 for the 9th wicket, with Miguel Cummins propelling Kent to 307 before they were bowled out. Stevens, the 45-year-old all-rounder, hit 15 fours and 15 sixes, scoring over 96% of the runs in the partnership. Up next, we have the all-time Indian Test 11 team, as compiled by Wisden Cricket according to the ICC rankings. The criteria for selection is simple. The chosen ones are the top 5 batsmen, the top ranked wicketkeeper, the top ranked all-rounder and the top 4 bowlers. The players have been lined up in the following order. At number 1, we have Sunil Gavaskar, and his all-time batting ranking is first with 916 points. Next up, we have Rahul Dravid. His all-time batting ranking is first as well with 892 points. He has played 164 tests and scored 13,288 runs. Next, we have Cheteshwar Pujara. His all-time batting ranking is second with 888 points. He has played 85 tests and scored 6,244 runs. Next up, we have Sachin Tendulkar. His all-time batting ranking is once again first with 898 points. He has played 200 tests and scored 15,921 runs. Next up, we have Indian captain Virat Kohli, and his all-time batting ranking is first as well with 937 points. He has played 91 tests and scored 7,490 runs. Moving on to the wicketkeeper, we have Rishabh Pant, whose all-time batting ranking is 9th with 747 points. He has played in 20 tests and scored 1,358 runs. Next, for the bowlers, we have Kapil Dev. His all-time bowling ranking is second with 877 points. He has played in 131 tests and picked up 434 wickets. Next up, we have Ravichandran Ashwin, and his all-time bowling ranking is first with 904 points, and his all-time all-rounder ranking is first as well with 492 points. He has played in 78 tests and picked up 409 wickets. Shifting to the next one, we have Ravindra Jadeja with an all-time bowling ranking of first and 899 points. He has featured in 51 tests and picked up 220 wickets. Next up, we have Anil Kumble, whose all-time bowling ranking is second with 859 points. He has claimed 619 wickets in 132 tests. Next, we have Jasprit Bumrah, whose all-time bowling ranking is third with 835 points. He has played in 19 tests and picked up 83 wickets. Now that's everything we have in this video. Comment down your views regarding any of the news and like and share this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to receive daily doses of cricket news. Bye for now. I will again see you all in the next video.